transition, this energy transition, is one of the biggest economic transitions we've had since the Industrial Revolution. It's really changing everything in terms of the basis, the foundation of our economies. The real question for us to ask ourselves is, are we going to make the same mistakes that we've made in the past in terms of developing a fossil fuel-based economy, or can we use this as an opportunity to really change the way that we develop by putting people and nature first?
We live in an uncertain world. We see very rapid global development. We see geopolitical uncertainties. We see the critical mineral sector being one where there are significant uncertainties, significant concerns in the general public, in the supply chain, again, in the resource-rich countries. And so I think this predictability, certainty, partnership really are more important than ever.
I think there is still a lot of issues in raw material supply chains that we have to solve. So we're not ready. I think that's one message. If we consider steel industry, we account 10% together with carbon steel for the global greenhouse gas emissions. So we have a massive impact. We discussed yesterday with the Commission a lot about the clean energy sector, mobility, any type of technologies. Even defense industry is heavily dependent on low emission stainless steel.
Because we're growing so fast and demand is growing, in order to kind of move that curve down, we need to be able to recycle and reuse materials. I mean, the most efficient material is one that you don't have to extract, right? That you can reuse. So and this is a big ask. This is something we have not really developed yet. So developing a circular economy is a big ask, but something we can do. And finally, investing in new technologies can really help us. Obviously, developing a circular economy is going to take time and effort. This is not a minor thing to do. And it's really going to take a cooperation between the producers and the users. But today, right now, we can apply these principles.
Outokumpu has up to 75% lower carbon footprint already today. And I really love the WWF's point that you need to put circularity in the heart of the business. We have over 90% recycled material content. So we are really utilizing all the available circular materials. So circularity should be the first thing you do, but then you also need to develop sustainable primary raw material, virgin raw material sources.
Global partnerships are absolutely essential. Also in a UN context, last year we co-chaired the UN Secretary General's panel on critical energy transition minerals to help identify what can be done globally, what can be done in multilateral cooperation to create better transparency, better insights, but also, again, more fairness in the supply chain so that the resource-rich countries and the local communities benefit from the resources that are in their ground, including by stepping more into the value chain that is there in terms of refining and processing. So global partnerships, absolutely essential for making it happen.
None of us can do this alone. I think we mine the minerals that are essential for the clean energy transition. And we obviously cannot do that at the expense of people and planet, right? So we have to do that as sustainably as possible, but we also have to do it with our partners, right? And yes, technology is interesting for transparency and data sharing, but also, for example, for conservation. I think there's massive opportunities on remote sensing and using spatial data and whatever else for better landscape level planning to look at how do we regenerate soil, what is the carbon mass, how do we avoid deforestation and better do land use planning. I think there's a real opportunity to use tech in a much more effective way for all of us there as well.
And I think we as a company, as part of the strategy, we are now also investing in the US to produce low emission metals, basically. So chromium metal, ferrochrome, which is something that I think it's quite a groundbreaking innovation that hasn't been possible in the past. So I think innovation should be very much at the heart of decarbonizing the industries that we still need. We are actually responsible for the entire value chain to be sustainable, to apply human rights principles.
I mentioned before the UN Secretary General's panel on critical energy transition minerals that took place last year and provided a report to the UN, to the Secretary General, exactly about these aspects. How can we cooperate more effectively? How can we actually bring results and bring change? Again, starting from the traceability of where do minerals come from? How have they been mined? we can each set up our system for that. But if we set out a common system, if we do some of that together, it will be lighter, it will be simpler, and it will be more efficient because it will be more reliable.
We have I think for the past 3-4 years developed a supply chain sustainability program and principles. And I think their transparency is the key. We often get from our raw material suppliers a question that why are you asking everything, that all of these questions, no one else is. And I think that also tells that we still have a bit of development to be done.
Similarly, we see very large parts of the industry that are investing significantly in making mining responsible. It's a sector that has a long history, sometimes a difficult history, and significant environmental impact, social impact on indigenous peoples. So there's a history, but we do see a very significant part of the mining industry investing towards responsible mining. Their efforts are more likely to be effective if on the buyer side you also have buyers that value, whether that's a steel company or a tech company, if you have buyers that say, yes, we are ready to procure, to be part of a market where we have more transparency, more traceability, more certainty about how things have produced. And so all of that can only come together in cooperation, whether it's governments or private sector and all parts of the world.
I think the real important thing is not the forms and the reports and the sustainability reports and things. It's really transforming the mindset. It's not just even our employees, it's even your shareholders and your stockholders who, traditionally we're only valuing profit, and you have to convince them that to be sustainable in terms of valuing profit, you also have to value protecting nature and people in order to have the license to operate.
We really need that transparency. At the same time, investments are happening. And I think, honestly, for us, for example, CBAM is essential. It's not only about climate, it's really about putting a carbon price also for global steel everywhere, which is today in Europe a big challenge for stainless. So I think that, in a sense, the big instruments from regulatory side are there. They're moving forward.
So I want to underline that we in Europe are staying the course. We're staying the course when it comes to partnership and cooperation. We're staying the course when it comes to net zero 2050. This is set in stone. It's not going to change. I think sometimes in the public debate, one gets the impression that everything is being put into question. It isn't. We're staying the course. 2050, transparent supply chains. But I think we can simplify the way we do it.
Outokumpu is operating the only chromium mine within the European Union, which could be a competitive asset for Europe and Finland going forward. And I think we are, for example, a member and comply with responsible mining. We are a very global company. And I think the challenge, whether it's mining standards, whether it's green steel definition, which the Commission is very much working on, we need to have global frameworks.
I think from my side, sustainability integration. And integration really two ways. One is stop seeing climate, nature, human rights, social development as pillars that are not connected. They're very much connected. And the other one is integrating it in your make the business case. And that is linked to communication and everything else, making it part of your core business. It's about climate resilience. But it's also about telling the story and making sure, like, to our leadership, like, wait, these are just not some frogs we need to put a fence around. This is actually a business opportunity that we need to use and really integrate in the way we develop and feed our business. And I think we need to do a lot more of that.
We need to see action. We need to see results. We need to deliver. And once again, we only deliver when we work together.
I want to also emphasize carbon pricing globally. We really need to level the playing field with a price on carbon.
This is announced as the Nature COP. Nature and climate are intricately linked, and real clear guidance on the conservation of forest, land use change, addressing the impact of agriculture. I think there's real opportunities there as well. So I hope we'll move forward on that.
And I think we have to reorient ourselves to understand that we are reaching planetary boundaries and that we cannot keep operating in that way. So again, I get back to the change in mindset is really the key thing. And that doesn't happen in one conference, and that doesn't happen in 1 year. It happens over a time, putting planet, putting nature and communities at the heart of our economic development.